welcome to our worship. Good evening. Welcome to our live broadcast tonight. live service today. God bless you real good. That was Brian Poppin. He's been here at the well a couple of times, and he's all the way live like we are tonight, as you just heard. Tonight is a special night, you know, that we closed down Bible study last Wednesday for the summer. And after 6 weeks of the Lord's Prayer, we closed with the teaching and the dissecting for an hour, teaching and dissecting of the Lord's Prayer, lesson 6. And I told you that that was it for the summer, but then I was inspired for this special legacy night. And we're going to talk more about that momentarily. But as always, trust in God. In God we trust, and wear your mask because we love our neighbor as we love ourselves. Even though you've been vaccinated, it's prudent, unless you know the people that are around you. CDC is relaxing, and the numbers are going down. We'll talk more about that momentarily. Follow me to the pulpit, and let me do some housework, some house cleaning, and some things that need to be done. And then I'll introduce our special guests and our special presenters for the night. Hopewell's COVID-19 clinic here on our campus. In our gym, we have our second round of the 500 second round Pfizer vaccines on the 25th. That's next Tuesday. And then the first round of Pfizer is on Tuesday, June the 8th. So remember, if it's your second time only, show up on the 25th. First timers can come, or register online on our website and come on June 8th, okay? God bless you. As I was pulling on campus, I was contacted by this Sister Virgil. Her brother, Virgil, Ricky Virgil, is in really, really serious illness, and she wrote it here, but I would not. Well, I got to call it. I got to charge atmosphere. He had 2 strokes today, and we're going to rebuke the 2 strokes in the name of Jesus in our invocation. And Helen Jones, 4 brothers. This is her 4th brother to pass in short order. He died today, and yes, he died. He died from this life, and now he's with the Lord. The Bible says that's absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. He exhaled here on this earth and inhaled in the presence of the Lord. Let us go to the Lord in prayer for our evening. Spirit of living God, bless as we touch and agree. Everlasting God, we love you. We bless you. We thank you for being a right now God. Usher our prayers, Spirit of God, to the throne room of God. Thank you. Thank you for another day's journey. Thank you for bringing us safe thus far on the highways, the byways, through illnesses and viruses that were all around us, but you kept us safe. Now, Father, we pray for Brother Ricky, for Helen Jones and her family and her extended family. We love you so much and we bless you. But there are many others, Father God. I will not call all their names. These just came to me. And for Mother Abraham, Father God, that's recently been diagnosed with this beast called cancer. And for the loved ones of Mother Cruz that will be celebrating her homegoing this weekend. We love you, Father, and we bless you, and we thank you. We acknowledge your presence in everything we do. It is in the matchless name of Jesus the Christ we pray. Let every saint in your home sanctuary and around the world say amen. We've got 92,000 people logged in tonight. Thank God for that. Now, this is a special night, and I was inspired to bring this night. And these presenters, these 2 experts that are going to come before you tonight, I'm so excited. Slow down so I can pronounce my words. They're going to come before you tonight because God said so. I just contacted them and it said, make this happen. Dr. Levitt, make this happen. Deanna said, I'll do it. And then we says, okay, let's make this happen. I called Dee Perkins, make this happen. She says, I got the expert for you, Papa. So tonight, Hope Wellians and around the world is Legacy Heritage Night. Legacy Heritage Night. God bless you real good. And I just requested that sound to make it, this is instantaneous production. Papa Shields is always thinking and always making it happen. So tonight we have estate planning and financial legacy. And before we go to these who are experts in those fields, and I'm not, I want to define legacy and heritage, and then let me give a 5-minute lesson on biblical heritage. Defining legacy. Legacy is a gift of property, especially personal property, as money or will. Defining heritage. Sometimes that comes muddled in our culture, but let me make it plain, and I'll do the biblical example in a moment. Then heritage is something that comes or belongs to you by reason of birth. We as a people, most of my audience and most of my congregation know that our legacy and our heritages are cut short with us, and we're going to talk about that. And the experts are going to do that tonight as well. Heritage is an inherited lot or portion, something reserved for another. But leaving a godly legacy, before I introduce our first presenter tonight, leaving a godly legacy, let me plant this in your spirit. A good workman knows that it takes time to build a home that will last for decades. He or she skillfully lays the groundwork and refuses to cut corners as he pieces together a solid frame, starting with a sound foundation. In the same way, we need to build a spiritual foundation in the next generation. Tonight, I'm laying a brief spiritual foundation, and our experts that are going to come before you will present a life foundation and a life-changing and generational legacies that we will leave for our children. In Psalms 127, God's word gives us three, and I'll give them briefly, 3 word pictures that help us to know how to build families that have a heart for God. We are to be first, workmen, secondly, watchmen, and thirdly, warriors. So add those 3 W's with the 3 P's that I've been teaching as we were going through the Lord's Prayer. That is, and the 3 F's. The 3 F's I'll leave now in your spirit, those who haven't heard them before. Faith, focus, and finish. Faith, focus, and finish. Tonight, workmen, watchmen, and warriors. The goal of all 3 of these roles is that we will leave a legacy. You're going to hear that word a lot tonight and going forward. We will leave a legacy of godliness to our children, our grandchildren, and generations to come. As we read the 127th Psalm, we realize first that the workman, in view of what God says, in view, the workman is not simply building a physical house. He's building a home, a heritage, a godly family line that will take the heart and the ways and the faith of God into the next generation. Generational blessings. That kind of building is more demanding and sometimes exasperating than building a physical house. There's so much more at stake than building a physical house, and we can't afford to build it haphazardly. We got to do it well. We want to build lives, homes, churches, and cultures that will reflect God's glory long after we are gone. We want to leave behind a model of godliness that people will choose to embrace in the next generation. Second and third W's are watchmen and warriors. There's another word picture, the second one, used in the passage of the 127th Psalms, that is of a watchman. The scripture says, unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchman stays awake in vain. That's in the first verse of 127th Psalm. We have a picture painted here by the psalmist is awesome. A picture of a sentinel or a guard, someone who's been assigned and has accepted the responsibility of standing guard over the city, over the house. He can't go to sleep on the shift. He's got to stay alert and awake. You hear me? You hear me? He needs discernment to recognize when an enemy is coming. We have been given the assignment, parents, we have been given the assignment of being protectors, looking out over the city that God, looking out over our children, looking out over our homes that God has entrusted to us. Lastly, the third picture in this passage of the 127th Psalm, the third W is warrior. And this is interesting. This is interesting, and some of you are going to have light bulbs go off. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior are the children of one's youth. Verse 4. Let me break it down. The picture here is of a battlefield, and our sons and daughters are ammunition. Whoa. Now you know what the arrows are. They are ammunition. They are arrows in battle. And God intends that we release and send them out into our culture and into our world. But here it is. Watch this. Those arrows have to be prepared carefully, shaped, formed, and left with a legacy and a heritage. They have to be shot in the right direction toward the appropriate target. Our effectiveness as warriors in many senses determines the effectiveness of those arrows that God has entrusted us with and blessed us with. Whether it is a male, female arrow, we got to start training them young and leaving them a legacy and a heritage. If they are not shaped correctly, or if they're sent in the wrong directions, they're not going to fulfill their purpose and their destiny. In closing, the psalmist in the 127th Psalm tells us that there's a house to be built, a city to be guarded, and a battle to be fought. If the workman cuts corners, if the watchman falls asleep and gets distracted while he's on his shift, or if the warrior fails to show up for battle, we're going to have problems, and we got problems in our culture. Lives can actually be endangered, and we have endangered lives in our culture. These are strategic, vital roles that we must play, and I pray that tonight is a catalyst, and we'll have more of these seminars in the future. When you think about your family, it's not just a matter of will my kids make it or will we have a good family. not according to Psalms 127, or will we have an intact home? There's much more, and there's a bigger picture, because there is destiny for those that God has in charge, those arrows that God has in charge, or given you charge over. Spiritually, physically, and financially, we must leave a legacy and a heritage for those arrows. And now, I introduce you to our estate planner and our presenter. Dr. Gregory Levitt this is his 40. You know, this is my 41st anniversary as pastor of Hopewell. This is his 44th anniversary as founder of Levitt and Sons Funeral Home, and several funeral homes around Metro Atlanta, and he and I have been friends for many years. And the reason why estate planning is so important is that for years I've had to assist families with the homegoing of their loved ones personally from Papa's pocket, and the church has embraced me in doing so. And then I've asked Dr. Gregory Levitt many times when there's an indigent family to help them by giving them a payment plan. Well, you know, then I'm calling on one who is busy, who's given and given and given, because he's a great philanthropist, he and his family. But now it's time for us to sharpen our arrows. It's time for us to step up and be those watchmen and those warriors, and be those who are ready to leave a legacy and a heritage. And tonight, his beautiful daughter, Deanna Levitt, is going to come and introduce herself as she comes and present the estate planning guide for families, so you can start doing it now. We pay insurance policies, we pay car insurance, and but then estate planning, then you can get paid up, and then you've got yourself ready to celebrate homegoing and not go at war because the finances do not meet your desire for the homegoing of your loved one. Will you come now and join us here, Deanna Levitt? And if the household was filled now, they would be applauding you coming. And I'm going to move out the way, and I'm going to go down front so I can look at the screen, and it's all yours. Introduce yourself and your position.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Bishop Shields, for allowing me to have this platform to speak to everyone today about the importance of pre-planning. My name is Deanna Levitt. I'm the Vice President and Director of Marketing for Gregory B. Levitt and Sons Funeral Homes and Crematory. And I, again, want to just thank you and all of you all who are tuning in for just taking the time out to listen to what we have to say about the importance of planning. So many of you would say, why in the world would I plan for my funeral? I'm not old enough to think about that. I don't want to think about that. It's scary to think about that. But I just want to share with you, I'm actually 31 years old. And when I had my daughter, Miss Callie Raphael, one of the first things I did was go ahead and meet with my attorney to put my will in place, to put my plans in place. And I'm fairly young, I would think. And that made me feel so free. It made me feel like no matter what happened, I know that my plans are in place. So I want to ask you a few questions. When you got engaged, did you plan the engagement? You didn't plan your engagement, but your fiance did. But you planned the wedding. Did you plan your party? Do you put insurance on your car when you get a car? Do you insure your jewelry and things of importance to you? We do all of those things, but we don't seem to think that we need to plan for the inevitable, which is our passing. So when a loved one passes away, most people plan a celebration. Your families plan a celebration for you based on emotion. Emotions are running extremely high because they want to show their love for you. They want to show how important you are to them and to the friends and family that you have, and that makes sense. But it ends up becoming a very emotional decision, and it becomes an emotional purchase. So what if you really wanted a small and intimate service with just a few people, very specific people that are speaking on your behalf for your life? But now all of a sudden, you have Mr. Johnny, who might have dated you for 1 month in high school, up on stage telling every embarrassing story about you. Who knows you better than you? So I challenge everyone to think about these things, and as I'm going through the necessary steps that you should take, to kind of ask yourself these questions that only you can answer. So there are 3 types of planning. There is at need, which is someone, once you pass, that is an at need basis. Then you have your pre-arrangement, where you're putting the plan in place, you're putting it on paper, but you're not pre-funding it. And then you have pre-need. It's an actual funded plan that you put in place. So what I have here is an estate planning guide, and this is what I'm going to be referencing tonight. This estate planning guide. Most of us are very efficient when it comes to our daily lives. We're responsible, considerate of our family and friends, but a lot of us do not leave a complete record of the affairs that we need to handle when we're making final arrangements. So often a lot of family and friends come into our chapel and they're stressed, they're very, very upset, and they're sad, and they just don't really know what decisions to make. They're doing it based on emotion. And a lot of questions that we hear is, if only I knew what mom or dad would want, if only I knew what my sister or brother would want, or how much that we can afford. Money is a big, big, big issue when it comes to making those final arrangements, because we just don't plan ahead. So this estate planning guide eliminates that confusion, but more importantly, it eliminates the confusion and the heartache for your family and friends who have to come together at a certain time when it comes to planning a service. So there are so many decisions and arrangements that must be made when a death occurs, and very few people are aware of the high cost and the complexities of last-minute arrangements. Your family will be spared so much of the burden if you just plan ahead. Take that time out to do that. Don't be afraid of that. So there's so many people that you have to notify immediately, and I'm just going to go through a handful, but there in this guide you'll see it's a long list of things that you have to be prepared for. So you have to notify immediately your pastor, your attorney or executor of your estate, a funeral director. You have to figure out the cemetery. You have to notify the employer of the deceased. You have to notify the insurance companies, the life and health insurance companies, and any organizations, religious or civic affiliations that you have. Those are just a handful. But then you also have to check for a will, for special wishes. And if you don't know who your loved one's attorney is, you don't know where to locate that will in the house, you're kind of lost, because you have to honor that will. Then you have to select a funeral home and a funeral director. You select your cemetery. You also select burial property. You have to select a casket. I could go on and on. Even clothing, flowers, the death certificate. If you're in military, you have to select what type of military service you're going to have, and any special readings, music, and information for the eulogy. It is a lot to think about and a lot to put on your family and friends at the very last minute. So there are also necessary vital statistics that you have to provide. The occupation and title, Social Security number. I don't know how many times we've run into family and friends not even knowing that Social Security number, because you keep it private, so you don't even think to tell your closest family members. Your veteran's serial number, your place of birth, mother's maiden name, mother's birthplace. But then there's also those other necessary documents like a will, Social Security card, your marriage license, insurance policies, deeds to properties, bank books, veterans discharge certificates. It sounds like a lot, because it is a lot. And then it comes down to the payments, your funeral service, how are you going to cover that? The merchandise that has to go into that, your clergy and transportation. This information is required for burial permits, It's required for insurance companies, for pension, Social Security, and most of these items can be prearranged. And this eases the emotional burden that you're placing on your family and friends when a death occurs. Relatives and friends, in this book, you can go all the way down the list and you can list all of those important people, those people that will be able to support your family, that it's invaluable. You know, their email address, their where they live, their phone numbers, even the passwords to certain email address accounts. All of these things can be very, very vital when making final arrangements. So then it comes to insurance policies. Millions and millions of dollars are lost every year due to unclaimed life insurance because family never knew that certain policies even existed. Insurance benefits must be applied at the time of death, and you'll need a copy of that death certificate for each company. If policies are lost or destroyed or you don't know where they are, you have to have that policy number. Even if you knew the company, if you don't know that policy number, it's going to be very, very, very difficult to retrieve those funds. All of this information can be listed in a pre-funded arrangement. And then we go to the bank accounts. And I have a funny story to share on this. I am actually my grandmother's caregiver, the executor of her estate, and also her power of attorney. And I recently renovated her basement. And I just happened to be going through some things, thinking that maybe she, I didn't want to throw away any important pictures or valuable items just by kind of tossing things and not looking through them. And I happened to open up a Bible, just a raggedy Bible. It was, pages all shredded. And out pops a $15,000 check. And that check this September would have been voided because it was almost coming to that 7-year period where they would no longer honor those funds. My grandmother suffers from dementia, and I can vaguely remember her kind of walking around thinking someone stole that check from her, but she ended up hiding it from herself inside of a Bible. And so out pops this check. And if she trusted her family enough, if she even trusted a friend or an attorney enough to give someone that check or let someone know where that money was, that money could have been lost. But if she would have trusted someone, then someone would know where that money was, because now it's very imperative. That money is so necessary to continue to take care of her for the remainder of her life. So people often have bank accounts, stock, bonds, IRAs, and other investments, and neglect to advise family members of their existence. We just don't know. So each year, banks publish a list of names in newspapers looking for individuals who are entitled to this money in accounts they were never aware of. So to protect your loved ones against such a loss, record your accounts, and you can record it in this book right here. Social Security benefits. I have a small group with me. I want you all to guess, how much money do you think you'll get from a Social Security office? Oh, Bishop Shields got it, $255, and that'll get you a very, very nice flower. That is not enough money to cover a full funeral service. It's a very, very small amount. So the least known of all Social Security benefits are those that are payable at the time of death. A lump sum payment will be made to the surviving spouse of the insured person at the time of death. If there is no surviving spouse, then it could be made to eligible children. But benefits are not paid automatically. Applications must be made and approved on forms that are very specific and have a specific time limit. And imperative information has to be included on those forms. So a marriage certificate, birth certificate of the applicant, birth certificate of the deceased and of the minor child, Social Security number, death certificate, and a W-2 form. Then we can go into veterans benefits. So veterans, survivors are entitled to receive various benefits, but it's only depending on the status of your service. But really, all you receive is a grave, a vault, a headstone, and military honors based on your ranking. So you don't get much at all from that as well. But then we can go into wills. Everyone needs a will. That's just as important as putting your plans down. But you have to go through an attorney. Don't go through these online companies promising you that they'll have your will in place and do it in the proper way. You need to go through a lawyer. So a will is one of the finest protections that you can give to your loved ones. Your will is the least expensive way to protect your life's work and savings. With the will, you name a person or persons to administer your estate, handle your financial matters, and act as a guardian for your minor children. Without a will, the probate judge makes these decisions, and the cost for this process can be extremely high, up to 10% of the net value of your estate. So again, please, 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 we recommend to go through an attorney for these things and not use online services for these types of affairs. I'm extremely grateful to have this opportunity to speak to you about this. We are more than welcome to offer these estate planning guides to everyone that requests one, but I want to again stress the importance of letting someone know. Don't be afraid of speaking about it. Death is inevitable, but just like we have life insurance policies and other things that are covering our precious valuables, you have to think about your life and think about the people that you are leaving behind. It's a legacy. And you have to think about your children as well. You don't want to stress your family with the burden of, having to create a GoFundMe because there are no funds to pay for the services. It is just important to have that maybe difficult conversation with your family and friends, but at any rate, you can almost maybe enjoy the process a little bit. Kind of think about how you want to be remembered, your legacy, who you would want to speak on your behalf, and sitting down with your family and friends and having that difficult conversation. No matter how old or young you are, this conversation is imperative, and it is so necessary to continue on your legacy. So Bishop Shields, thank you so much for giving me this platform to briefly speak to you all on this, and I look forward to hearing from people about wanting to get excited about planning for your services and leaving something behind for your family. Thank you so much.
Amen. Thank you. What an awesome presentation. Thank you, Deanna. Wow. Okay, so much to absorb. And I want you to know that Dr. Gregory Levitt is here. And these plans that you saw while Deanna was speaking, this packet, this booklet is available at all 4 of the locations around Metro Atlanta. And when you go in for your planning, then a staffer will go through it with you, and you can take it home with you and absorb it, but make sure you do. Yeah, it's inevitable. If Jesus delays his coming, then all of us will have families coming to our homegoing. And let's not, and I heard Deanna say inevitably several times. God bless you, and please, if you have any questions, and if you want one of these guides, don't just go and secure it and take it home and put it on your dresser. Go and sit down with a estate planner at any 4 of the Gregory B. Levitt and Sons locations. It's up on the screen again, and it's free for you to do that. So take advantage of same. Please, my people, do that. Please, please, please. Let us start right now as workmen, watchmen, and warriors, doing the right thing in our legacy planning and in our estate planning and in our wealth building. Talking about our wealth builder, that's our next presenter now, Anithia Powell, and she's going to come up and introduce herself. And when she comes up, she's going to talk about financial literacy. Also, how to make sure that arrow that the Lord talks about in the 127th Psalm is sharpened, not just to go for a few months or a few days, but sharpened to make their children, generational blessings. The other side of the track has a couple hundred years of start on us, and we haven't. Most of us have not started yet, and some of us who are aware and are astute still haven't taken advantage of what we're giving to you tonight. So please turn off whatever. There's nothing on TV. Football didn't start yet. So anyway, here's this next presenter. She's coming up. Anithia Powell, will you come, please? And if I had a drum roll, I'll give that to you as well. Please come on up, and I'm going to move aside and let you have your own mic in the podium, please.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to come here and to speak on behalf of Powell Benefit Group. So I want to thank you so much, Bishop Shields. And I also want to give a thanks to Ms. Dee Perkins, who is one of my business partners. And so what I want to talk to you about tonight is basically financial literacy. That is something that is missing from our communities, okay? Financial literacy. How many times do we talk about wealth in our community? Most of the time we don't have that conversation. So I want to go ahead and jump right in. I think I have a few minutes to speak here, and I want to go into giving you some education about money and how it really works. You know, so many people get up every day and go to work, but they don't have their money doing the same thing for them. Their money is not working for them. So if we can go ahead and get right into it, I want to go over some principles and some concepts with you. First of all, if money rules the world, which it does, right? You know, I put money, you know, some people say money is not everything, and it is not. Truly, it is not. But I put it right up there with oxygen, right? Because it's something that we all need in order to live, right? You know, the church can't go on without funding. You know, our businesses can't go on without funding, so we need money in order to live. But if you don't know the rules of money and money rules the world, how can you win in the money game? Okay? So let's go over it. When it comes to money, there's 3 rules that I want to make sure that you get, because if you understand these 3 concepts about money and how it works, then you can definitely make a big impact on your financial future. The first rule of money is called the Rule of 72. It's nothing new. It's not specific to just Powell Benefit Group, which is the name of my agency. As the vice president of Powell Benefit Group, my husband and I, we actually have partnered with over 100 A-rated companies, many companies that I'm sure you've heard of, like Nationwide and Pacific Life. There's a lot of huge companies that we've partnered with that helps us to make sure that people have financial strength in their finances. So the first rule is the Rule of 72. Albert Einstein gets credit for it. And it simply says this: whatever your interest rate is, you want to take that interest rate, divide it into the number 72, and it will tell you approximately how many years it will take for your money to double. Not to just grow, but to double. You see, wealthy people talk about their money doubling. Everybody else talk about their money growing, but to have your money to double, how impactful can that be? Very impactful. But let's just take the banks, for example. Let's just say you're saving at a bank, and we're going to be nice to the banks and pretend that they're giving you 1% on your savings account. 72 divided by 1, or 1 will go into 72 how many times? 72, right? So that's going to take 72 years for your money to double. So if you're 29 years old and you have $10,000 in an account, you'll be 101 before that 10,000 double to 20. That's not exciting, is it? Not at all. All right, well, let's just jump ahead and let's just say now you're getting, let's just say you're getting 12% on your money. You can say, hey, Ms. Powell, I know where I can get 12%. 72 divided by 12 is what? 6. Now your money is doubling every 6 years. So it makes a difference to get a higher interest rate. The problem is most people don't know where to get those higher interest rates other than the stock market. I'm going to share that. I'm going to share some information with you about that in a moment. But guess what? What if I told you with some of the companies that are out here
as a financial professional, there's some things about money that I would probably know that probably the average person wouldn't, right? There are companies that are giving up to 25% rate of return on money, right? And you may say, well, I've never heard of that. Well, when was the last time you sat down and talked to a financial professional? Most people are not sitting down talking to a financial professional. So it's very important to get a higher rate of return, okay? That's the accumulation phase, and that's the phase that most financial advisors, that's what they specialize in. Let me show you how to get a big pile of money. But the next two phases, most financial advisors do not specialize in this. So listen to the second one. The second one is how money grows, right? Your money can grow three ways. It can grow in a fixed account, which we're all familiar with that. That's like a savings account. That's like a CD, right? It's fixed, it's safe. However, it's not outpacing inflation. If inflation is 3 or 4%, and your money is being saved at 1 or 2%, you're not outpacing inflation, and your money is not doing a very good job for you, but it's safe. So most Americans would take their money and put it where? In a variable account. What do we know about a variable account? That's a stock market, right? But whatever goes up must eventually do what? Come down. How do you feel about losing money? Most people would say, I don't like losing money. Neither do I. But guess what? There's a third way that your money can grow, and most people have never heard of it. And by the way, these concepts that I'm teaching you are not even taught in school, okay? The third way that your money can grow is in an indexed account, okay? In an indexed account, you may say, hey, Ms. Powell, what is an indexed account? In an indexed account, you get the best of both worlds of the fixed and the variable. Okay, in an index account, your money goes up when the market goes up, but when the market goes down, guess what? Your money locks in automatically. It stays put. And then when the market goes up again, guess what? You get a new lock or a new high on your money. So it's almost like the stairway to heaven, right? Your money never goes into the negative, all right? And then the third way, the third rule of money, okay, if we can pull the screen back up there. The third rule of money is basically how is your money going to get taxed? Now we're talking about the distribution phase. Your money can get taxed three ways. It can get taxed now, later, or never. How do you want your money taxed? Most people would say never, but they have their money in the first two accounts, right? In a tax now account, if you have any significant growth in these types of accounts, guess what? You're going to pay capital gain tax. Capital gains tax. So you get taxed twice. You get taxed before you get your paycheck. And then if you have any significant growth in these accounts, guess what? You're going to get taxed again. Tax later account, which we're all familiar with, most Americans have the 401k, which is the number one way now that people are retiring, okay? And I would have to have a totally different session, Bishop Shields, in order to go over the 401k and how it actually originated. But the 401k is a tax later account, right? And what do you think is going to happen to taxes in the future? Do you think they're going to be lower or higher in the future? Probably higher, right? As a matter of fact, the new administration have already put in place some things to make sure that some taxes are going to be pretty high, right? So what most people are doing is they're deferring paying their taxes until later when taxes are going to be a lot higher. So what's the solution to that, right? There's another way that your money can be taxed, and that's tax never. That's the third phase right there. And these are types of accounts like life insurance, and we're going to get into that in a moment. Life insurance, your Roth IRA, right? And so in these types of accounts, what happens is the money grows, but when you pull the money out, there's no taxes to be paid on it, okay? So now, imagine if you had the rule of 72 working for you, you had that index account working for you, and you had no taxes working for you all in one account. I'm going to show that to you in a moment because what you're about to see, most people will never see this. And, you know, certain companies are not going to come and knock at your door and say, hey, let me share with you how your money can really grow and how you can maximize on having and building wealth. That's a word that we usually don't use, especially in our community. How can we build wealth? So let's go to the next slide, please. I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you to take Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is what? A billionaire with a B. What does Warren Buffett suggest? Warren Buffett says, put your money in index funds. As a matter of fact, LeBron James, the millionaire basketball player, had a conversation with Warren Buffett, and he said, Mr. Buffett, what should I do with my millions so that they can become billions like yours? He said, son, put your money in index account. You can never lose there, okay? And then go to the next slide, please. The problem that most of us have is we think that we have enough time, right? Time waits on no one. I heard the bishop speak a few moments ago about someone passing today, right? And of course, people pass every single day. But the biggest problem that we all have is thinking that we have enough time to get it together. The best time to get your finances in order is today, right? And if you have a 401k, you should have gotten your finances together a long time ago, right? We'll talk more about that in a moment. Next slide, please. All right, so hopefully you all can see this, see this screen right here. But basically, that account that I was telling you about, that you can use the rule of 72, you can also use an index account and then tax-free account. All three of those in one is exactly what you're looking at right here, because I wanted to give you an example. What you're seeing right here is the performance of the S&P 500 actually in 1998 and what it actually did. So on the left-hand side, this would represent your 401k. But over on the right-hand side, that represents an index universal life policy. You may say, wow, so is that where that index is? That's one of the indexes. That's one of the places that you can put money and create wealth. Who ever thought that life insurance could actually help you to create and build wealth? Okay? Now, we heard the young lady speaking about an estate plan earlier. That's, not if, but when we pass away. But what if you live? Did you know that you could use your life insurance policy and it has living benefits inside of it? What if you have a stroke, a heart attack, or you're diagnosed with cancer? Your policy actually can come alive for you and actually pay you while you're living. So let's look at these two scenarios here. If you look over here on the left, this is what your actual 401k did. And over here on the right, this is what your index universal life policy did. Inside of that 401k on the left-hand side, when the market is up, which is in the black, your money is growing over here to the left in the blue. But look over here to the right. It's growing as well, but as you can see, it has a cap of 25%. Remember I told you there are some companies where you can get up to 25% rate of return? This is exactly what I'm talking about. So if the S&P did 26%, your 401k got 26%. But over here in the index universal life, if the market does 26, you only get 25. Because guess what? When the market goes into the negative, like it does over here in the blue, your 401k also goes down. But if you look over here to the right in the green, when the market goes down, you get credited with 0. That's because your money locks in automatically and it never goes into the negative. So if you fast forward and go all the way down to 2020, you'll see in 2020, there was actually a loss in 2020 because of COVID. And most people who have 401ks, they're afraid to open up and look at their accounts because of the ups and downs of the market. Well, if you look over here to the left, you'll see exactly what your account did, right? And then over to the right, you have over $2 million in that account versus $400,000 in your 401k, and both accounts started at $250,000. Wow, 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 right? And look over here to the left. I forgot to tell you, because you have a 401k, you've got to pay taxes. 25%. Let's just say, be conservative and say 25% will be there in the future as well. You're going to have to pay the government, over $140,000 in taxes, versus over to the right, how much do you pay the government in taxes on that $2 million? 0. Life insurance is the last place that most people would ever think to build and create wealth. We don't even like to talk about it in our community because we think that life insurance is all about death, and it is not. What if you live? Okay, next slide, please. When it comes to all of this information that I'm sharing with you, don't take my word for it. I always tell people to study, just like the Bible says, study and show yourself approved. It's all in a book. Everything I'm talking about right here is in a book. And the one that I highly recommend is Retirement Miracle by Patrick Kelly. Definitely you want to go and read that book. Wealth, Money, and Life Insurance is another one. That's about 60 pages. Go and read. Everything that I'm telling you here today is actually in a book. If we can go to the next slide, please. All right. First of all, when it comes to, I want to talk about the kids now because Bishop was talking about the kids and with the arrows, right? So I want to make sure that you know that student loan debt is something that is continuously going up. Did you know that it has surpassed consumer debt? It has actually surpassed consumer debt now, student loans. So let me share with you some information on how you can avoid paying all of those student loan debts for your kids when they get into college. Next slide, please. And because of so much student loan debt, did you know that a lot of seniors now are paying for their student loan debt in retirement? Oh, they're not going to forget about that student loan debt. So if you're not paying your student loan debt, guess what? That rule of 72 is working against you. Just like it can work for you if you put the money in the right type of account so that it can grow, it also works against you when you defer your student loans and you keep deferring it and deferring it. And some people start off with $40,000 in student loan debt, and before it's said and done, guess what? They owe over $100,000 in student loan debt because they have deferred it. And so the rule of 72 is also working, but it's working against you. Okay? Instead of your money doubling, your debt is doubling. Okay? All right, next slide, please. All right, so again, with student loan debt, depending on what the interest rate is on that student loan debt, I want you to take that interest rate, divide it into the number 72, and that's going to tell you approximately how long it's going to take for that debt to double if you're not paying on your student loan debts. When I sit down and do financial needs analysis with families, so many families who have student loan debts, and I'll say, how much are you paying towards your student loan debt? Well, it's in deferment. It's in deferment. They'll continue to let you defer it because guess what? The government is going to get more money from you later, and they will get their money. All right, next slide, please. Okay. This is showing student loan debt actually doubling. For every interest rate that you have here, and you divide it into the number 72, it's showing you how that student loan debt will be doubling. Okay, next slide. Okay, now it says, what if you had the same college plan that the Rockefellers had for their children? Did you know that the Rockefellers have this very same plan that I'm talking to you about as far as the life insurance policy? This is how they continue to leave legacies behind for their kids, their grandkids, and it continues, is because they have these indexed accounts. This is the last place that most people would think, again, to look, to build and create wealth, and they have been doing it for a long time. Okay? So it's called the Rockefeller plan. All right? Next slide, please. All right? Now, I know a lot of you probably are not going to be able to really see this, hopefully so. Well, this right here, I want to share with you. Is it all right for me to turn this way, Bishop? Okay. This right here is an example of how the rule of 72 is working. It's also showing you how the index account is working, and I'm going to show you how it's tax-free. First of all, this is an account where a mom and dad are paying $500 a month for their kids' program. And how old can you be to get one of these programs? 15 days old. That's the earliest you can be to get one of these life programs. 15 days old. And guess what? People are getting them at 15 days old for their kids. So if you really want to set your kid up financially, get them a program that can carry them for the rest of their lives. So that's $6,000 a year. If you look at year one, that's the premium, $6,000 a year. All right, we're not going to talk about the withdrawal of the loan at this time. We're going to look at the cumulative premium, right? So in year one, if it's $6,000, then the cumulative premium is $6,000. The policy value, and then the surrender value, and then the death benefit. Now, why would a person put $1 million on a baby who's 15 days old? There's something called the cost of insurance. The cost of insurance in that policy is extremely low. Right? So let's at age 23, if you skip all the way down, they have put in $138,000, but look at what the policy grew to, $235,530, and the death benefit has increased to $1.2 million. Why is that? That's because you get both the savings portion plus the death benefit. That's why the death benefit is growing. Next slide, please. All right? So now, at age 23, remember I told you it was $138,000 and it grew to $235,000. So what you do is you allow your kid to have that college, that college loan. So they take out a loan for college, right? But in year number 24, you're going to take $25,000 out to pay on the student loan. At age 25, 26, and 27, you're going to take $25,000 out a year for a total of $100,000. Pay off that student loan, and look at what happens. If you don't put any more money in after age 23, look at what's happening. At age 42, that's $37,900 because you took out $100,000. So you took $100,000 out, and look over here to the right. The policy is still growing. You have $503,000 in that account, even though you took $100,000 out. And you didn't put another penny in after 23. So next slide, please. All right, did we go to the next slide, please? There we go. All right, so this right here is actually showing that to age 70, without putting any more money in after they took that $100,000 out of a life insurance policy, at age 70, now they're pulling out $100,000 a year for their retirement. And when they pull that money out, guess what? It's tax-free. They're not paying any taxes on it. What gives it that ability to be tax-free is because of the type of product that it's in. It's in a life insurance policy. So without putting any more money in after age 23, you pulled $100,000 out, took care of the student loan, and by the way, it's not like a 401k where you get penalized if you take money out early. You get this money tax-free as long as you don't surrender the policy and you let it continue to grow. And the reason it keeps growing like that is because it's using the rule of 72, which is compound interest, right? So it's using compound interest to make it go. And now you're pulling out $100,000 a year for the rest of your life, tax-free? Where else can you go and have a program? Nothing else on the planet beats funding the right type of life insurance policy. All right, next slide, please. All right, on this particular slide right here, and it's continuing, it's showing you that it's going all the way right here, $100,000 being pulled out to age 113. The Bible promises us 120 years, right? That's 113. Continue to go, please. Next slide. All right. So on this particular slide right here, and I know it just got a little smaller because I'm trying to show all of these numbers. Well, what if you decide that you want to continue with the $500 a month even after age 23? That's what this is showing you. Now at age 70, instead of pulling out $100,000 for your retirement every year, you're pulling out $397,000 a year tax-free. Okay? This is called having the index, that compound interest and tax-free money work for you. Whoever knew that life insurance could do all of this, right? So it's not just for when you die. Because of the type of program that it's in, the IRS says, hey, money that comes out of here is tax-free as long as you follow the rules. And you better believe I'm going to make sure that you know the rules. You have to keep at least 10% in that account to keep it from becoming a modified endowment contract or to keep it from being taxed. All right, next slide, please. All right, so I'm almost finished here. I just wanted to share that with you because people start these programs, the younger you start, the younger you are, the better it is for you to start a program like that, okay? One thing that we all have in common in all of our families, it doesn't matter what ethnicity, what age, what gender, we all have death in our family. So it shouldn't be a surprise that one day we're going to pass, right? But the thing about it is that you can go ahead and set up a program like this that takes care of you if you live too long or if you die too soon. It has you protected, all right? We should not be having GoFundMe accounts to help take care of our business, right? It shouldn't be a surprise that death is inevitable. We should be prepared for that time. It's called being prepared. It's called being responsible. It's called, taking care of your business. And then Bishop talked about leaving a legacy behind. What about leaving a serious legacy behind for your family by taking care of them? Now, this is also a program where a family, let's just say you're putting $1,200 or, $1,000 a month away into a life insurance program, right? So that's $12,000 annually, but you do that for a total of 36 years. 36 years, so this is probably a person who's about 30 years old, putting away $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year for 36 years. And so the total premium that they paid was $432,000. $432,000. Now, when it's time for them to retire, how about they're taking out over $100,000 a year for 50 years, and now that distribution is over $6 million. So I ask you this question. If you give me $400,000 and I'm able to give you back $6 million, is that a good deal or is that a great deal? I say that's a great deal. And then on top of that, at death, okay, assuming that was age 120, there's another $6 million there that goes to your family. That's your legacy money. How much money are you leaving behind? Wealthy people leave wills. Broke people leave bills. Don't leave bills, right? Don't leave a bill behind. Leave some money behind. Leave a will behind. Leave a legacy behind, okay? And total distribution, that's over $13 million. Now, hopefully you're not afraid of money because guess what? There's plenty of it out there to be made only if you knew, right? If you know how to get to the money, make your money work hard for you. If you get up every day and go to work, make your money work just as hard for you as you're working for it, okay? And we can show you how. Next slide, please. All right? It's no secret that banks are doing some things, right? They're doing some things with our money. I'm telling you to put your money the same place that the banks are putting their money. Look at this. And this is June 30th, 2020. These are banks that are ranked by life insurance assets. When will a bank die? Never. Thank you. Never. Bank of America leading the charge, $22 billion in life insurance asset. Why? Life insurance companies survived the Great Depression, right? Life insurance is not going anywhere. Walt Disney got Walt Disney started because he took money out of his life insurance policy, his cash value life insurance policy, and started Walt Disney. All right, so without a life insurance policy, there would not be the happiest place on earth, known as Walt Disney, okay? Also, McDonald's got started that way with life insurance, cash value life insurance. Go on to the next slide, please. So if it's good enough for the banks, it should be good enough for you. Put your money where the banks are putting their money. Last thing right here, and I want to show you, is that life insurance is not just about when you die. What if you live? What if you have a heart attack, a stroke, or you're diagnosed with cancer and you receive a check, right? When you receive that check, it's not about getting paid for your adversity. It's about being able to survive, being able to not have to worry about where the next meal is coming from because you're having to take cancer treatment. My husband started a foundation called Pink Prosperity. Women who were having breast cancer didn't know how they were going to feed their families. They said, if I would have known that my life insurance policy could do this, I would have had the one that you're talking about. So do you have the old kind or do you have the new kind? If you have the old kind that only pays when you pass away, we need to have a conversation. Life insurance will take care of you if you have a stroke, a heart attack, diagnosed with cancer. Everybody who have those critical illnesses don't die, but if you don't have the right policy, it's waiting for you to do that. Okay? Last slide. I want to make sure that I leave you guys with this, okay? This is called Saving Your Future. So much information that I just shared with you is in this book. If you guys want a free copy or a free digital copy of this book, all you have to do is just simply email me at info@powellbenefitgroup.com, and I will send you a digital copy of this book. It's a very small book, so it's not real thick. It's small, but it's giving you the information that I'm sharing here with you today. Make sure that you read it. Study it. Show yourself approved so that you can improve your financial situation. My hopes is that each one of you prosper and that you prosper very, very abundantly, okay? I pray that avalanches of wealth fall upon you and your family. Knowledge is powerful, but only if you use it, okay? So with that, I want to thank you so much, Bishop Shields, and thank you for allowing me to speak. Woo! Thank you so much.
Yes, stay there.
Okay.
Come back up, come on. Come, Deanna. So, we have two wonderful presentation, and I know it's a lot to absorb tonight. So then, so you know, for your estate planning, there are 4 Gregory Levitt and Son locations around Metro Atlanta. Go to any of them and tell them Papa Shields sent you, and then you'll get the best planner there. And then, Sister Powell, this legacy of financial literacy. Now, I used to be a banker in New York, and I was vice president of a bank. I never heard of index insurance because the Rockefellers had it all. So they're in New York. Yes. So we need to talk. I think you need to, again, look at the camera and tell them again how to locate you and your husband's business, how to approach it, and how to get the book downloaded. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, if you go to powellbenefitgroup.com, that's our website, and you can go down and you can find what is called the $1 Million Baby. So it's powellbenefitgroup.com, Powell benefit, BENEFIT group, GROUP.com. And that's our website. But if you want this book, just email me at info@powellbenefitgroup.com, and I will send you the digital version of that book at no cost. And you know what? And I will also do a complimentary financial needs analysis for anybody that would like to have one. It's a $1,500 value, but if they mention Hopewell, I'll give it to them absolutely free.
Say that again. Say that again.
If they go to
the media's up there jumping up and down. Say that again.
If they go to info@powellbenefitgroup.com and just ask for the book and mention the name Hopewell, put Hopewell in there, and I'll make sure that they get a complimentary financial needs analysis. All that is taking a profile or a snapshot of where you are right now financially and helping you to get to where you say you want to be. If you want $10,000 a month in retirement, we can show you how to get to that, and that's what that is.
All right. Let me ask you now. A lot of mature people are tuned in tonight, and then they say, well, I didn't start for my child. Can I start now? Or for myself, I'm now 31 years old.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We will take a look at, like I said, of your age, where you are, and see if we can get you qualified to get one of these programs. This is not one of these sign-up programs like your 401k. You do have to qualify for it, but we do have over 100 companies that we work with, so chances are we can find something for everybody.
Okay, great. What a great evening of legacy and heritage. We're going to do this again and make sure that my people perish for a lack of knowledge. You can't say that Papa Shields doesn't bring it to campus, bring it to you. COVID-19, the first church north of Atlanta to have a COVID-19 clinic now for now approaching 3,000 vaccines. The first church to have testing for the COVID-19 on campus months ago, and now bringing to you estate planning and how to make sure that at the homegoing you're celebrating and you are loving each other and you're not warring over finances and over who's going to sit in what limousine, because you have planned it, and it's all planned in that great booklet that you'll get when you go to a location. And then you didn't mention it in your presentation. You said $1 million baby. $1 million baby. Explain $1 million baby.
All right, the $1 million baby is that slide that you saw. At age 1, the parents putting $1 million worth of protection on that child, but it's not about that child having the protection. It's not about the death benefit. It's about what the policy can do on the inside as the Rule of 72 takes hold, as that index account takes hold of that account, as that tax-free program takes place. Because you can pull the money, you can pull a lot of that money out far before you get to age 70. Okay, I already showed in that $1 million baby paying for the college.
Right.
Remember, so that's the $1 million baby.
And even if you stop premium payments at age 23, then it continues to accumulate
grow
in the index.
Exactly, because of using the Rule of 72. That's having it working for you instead of against you.
I love it, love it. We're going to have the benediction now. I'm not going to do the benediction because we're going to do this again.
Yes.
We're going to do this again. I know you enjoyed. Media need to hear from you from around Metro Atlanta, across the country, and around the world. If you like this presentation, then we'll be coming back with some more in-depth and some more, again, estate planning and financial literacy. Our culture, I mean, God, we are consumers. My culture, my people, we are consumers. We don't produce. Everything I have on, I consumed. I didn't produce any of. Well, I do. I've got a little clothing store. I do produce some things, but for the most part, we consume. We consume our cars. We consume everything. Let's get into the mindset of owning ourselves, and then let's give patronage to ourselves. Keep the money in our community a little while longer. In our community, the money only stays as long as it's deposited in the bank now, then it's gone. But then in other communities, the money stays there for weeks and months and generations and generations. So let us learn how to be business owners and be producers and not just consumers. God bless you. I love you. Thank you so much for coming to share with us tonight. Thank you for your time and talent. I'll treat you to Papa Do's. What time is it? Oh, I just gave Papa Do's Papa Do's. I just gave them an infomercial. They may tell you my meal is free. So what time do you have?
The time is, I thought you was
okay.
8:54.
Wow. Okay, we went over time, but I know you're still locked in. You're tuned in. I'll see you then on Sunday morning as we could. No, Saturday actually. We've got a parade for Pastor's 41st anniversary, and thank you. 41 years here at the City of Hope. We're celebrating our $27 million payoff of the campus and Pastor's first anniversary with a great big parade, and we have some celebrities going to be here, going to be judging and giving gifts and trophies for your decorated cars. We've got a jazz band. We've got food trucks on campus and icy trucks on campus, and all those things going on from 2 o'clock until on Saturday, right here on our 32 acres. We're going to celebrate in a big way. Come and celebrate with us. We love you so much. God bless you, and good night.
Good night.